Jack, The Last Heir of the Stars, Chapter 4. Architects of Darkness Part 1. The last 5 minutes, Erebus was dying. The ancient station groaned like a wounded giant as its massive steel framework twisted under impossible pressure. Emergency sirens howled through every corridor. Red warning lights flashed in frantic rhythms, bathing the endless passageways in crimson. Jack turned toward the black crystal. New fractures spread across its surface every second. Brilliant blue light pulsed from within, as though a living heart had begun beating inside the impossible stone. Echo stood motionless. His body had become almost transparent. Thousands of tiny blue particles drifted away from him, dissolving into the air like fading starlight. "You have to leave," he said quietly. Jack lowered his rifle, but only slightly. "Not until you tell me the truth." A faint smile crossed Echo's face. "The truth? You've only seen its shadow." The station shuddered again. Massive support beams collapsed behind them. Rows of empty capsules shattered beneath falling debris. The mechanical voice of Erebus echoed across the underground city. "Critical structural failure. Total collapse in 5 minutes." Jack stepped closer. "Come with me." Echo slowly shook his head. "I can't." "Why not?" For a long moment, Echo remained silent. Finally, he looked directly into Jack's eyes. "Because I was never alive." The words hung in the air. Even the screaming alarms seemed distant. Echo reached for the medallion hanging around his neck. Its surface cracked. Blue light escaped through the fractures. "It copied your face. It copied your memories. It copied your voice." He looked at the genuine Arcadian medallion resting on Jack's chest. "But it could never copy your soul." The false medallion crumbled into glowing dust. Echo's body flickered violently. "I was created for one purpose. To wait. To make sure the last guardian reached the heart." Jack frowned. "So everything. The labyrinth. The drones. Our fight. It was all a test." Echo nodded. "Erebus never tried to kill you. It was searching for you." Another violent explosion split the chamber. A deep crack tore across the floor between them. Blue flames erupted from broken energy conduits. The countdown continued. 4 minutes remaining. Without another word, Jack turned and ran. The station was collapsing faster than he had imagined. Entire corridors folded inward. Blast doors slammed shut without warning. Energy conduits exploded, filling the air with molten sparks. His helmet desperately recalculated escape routes. Every few seconds, another path disappeared beneath the destruction. Jack leaped across widening chasms, slid beneath collapsing bulkheads, rolled through showers of burning debris. Behind him, the hidden city of Erebus vanished piece by piece. Thousands of years of forgotten history were disappearing forever. At last, the docking bay came into view. His ship was still there. But something had changed. The engines were already running. The navigation systems had powered themselves on. Someone, or something, had prepared the ship for departure. Jack didn't hesitate. The cockpit sealed automatically the moment he climbed inside. The engines roared to full thrust. His ship blasted out of the docking tunnel only seconds before the entire hangar collapsed into darkness. Moments later, he was back in open space. He watched in silence as Erebus came apart. Its colossal rings fractured into thousands of glowing fragments. Streams of blue energy poured into the vacuum. Then, everything stopped. The explosions froze. The debris halted. Time itself seemed to stand still. Slowly, impossibly, the station began collapsing inward, not exploding, compressing, as though an invisible force was folding reality around it. Within seconds, the enormous structure had become a single point of brilliant blue light. The light flashed once, and vanished. No debris, no shockwave, no trace that Erebus had ever existed. Jack whispered quietly, "Goodbye." Before he could finish the sentence, every alarm aboard his ship activated simultaneously. Navigation failed. Artificial gravity fluctuated. The stars ahead began disappearing one after another. Something vast was blocking their light. It wasn't approaching. It had been there all along. Hidden. watching. The Titan-class vessel. Jack's scanners attempted to measure its dimensions. They failed. Again. And again. The display showed only one message. Object exceeds all known parameters. The ship stretched across space like a floating world. Its surface flowed constantly. Millions of black metallic plates sliding across one another like living scales. There were no engines. No weapons. No bridge. No windows. Nothing recognizable. It didn't look manufactured. It looked grown. Then part of its immense hull slowly opened. Not like a hatch. Like an eye awakening. A beam of brilliant white light reached toward Jack's ship. Every system shut down instantly. Weapons offline. Engines offline. Navigation offline. Even the emergency systems fell silent. Jack grabbed the controls. Nothing responded. His ship drifted helplessly toward the opening. Not pulled by gravity. Not by a tractor beam. It felt as though space itself had decided where he belonged. For the first time in many years, Jack felt genuine fear. Not because he believed he was about to die, but because he understood one terrifying truth. Everything humanity had ever called advanced technology was primitive compared to whatever had created this vessel. As his ship disappeared into the white light, every display illuminated at once. There was no sender, no signal, only 4 simple words. The trial begins now. Part 2. The city beyond reality. There was no impact. No violent pull. No sensation of movement. One moment Jack's ship was drifting through the blinding white light. The next, everything was silent. His engines restarted on their own. The cockpit lights returned one by one. Control panels came back to life, as if nothing had happened. Jack immediately checked the external cameras. Every screen displayed pure white. No stars. No planets. No trace of space itself. It was as though the universe had disappeared. What is this place? His sensors searched in every direction. Nothing. No radiation. No gravity wells. No electromagnetic fields. No measurable temperature. The computer finally produced a single message. Location unknown. Jack had traveled across hundreds of star systems. He had explored black holes, abandoned civilizations, and impossible anomalies. He had never seen a scanner admit defeat. A gentle vibration passed through the hull. Not mechanical. Almost alive. Outside the cockpit, the endless white slowly began to change. Dark lines appeared beneath the ship. Then enormous geometric shapes emerged from the brightness. Roads, bridges, towers. Entire cities unfolded beneath him. Jack stared in disbelief. The ship wasn't a ship at all. It was a world hidden inside something no larger than a moon. Mountains floated above crystal lakes. Rivers flowed upward into the sky before disappearing into rings of light. Forests shimmered with silver leaves that reflected constellations Jack had never seen. Gravity shifted so naturally that waterfalls curved sideways without ever touching the ground. It was impossible, and yet, everything looked perfectly stable. His computer displayed another warning. Internal dimensions cannot exist. Jack smiled to himself. Neither could Erebus. The ship guided him without a single command. His controls remained untouched. Yet the vessel gently descended toward an enormous circular platform suspended above a sea of clouds. The landing was flawless. The engines shut down. The cockpit opened by itself. Warm air greeted him. It carried the scent of rain, fresh grass, and something else. A fragrance he remembered from his earliest childhood. Arcadia. Jack stepped onto the platform. The metal beneath his boots felt strangely soft, almost organic. Blue veins of light pulsed beneath the surface like blood flowing beneath skin. He knelt and touched the floor. It responded instantly. A ripple of light spread across the platform. Far away, thousands of towers answered with the same pulse. The entire city had felt his presence. "Welcome home." The voice echoed softly behind him. Jack spun round. 3 figures stood only a few meters away. They had appeared without a sound, without movement, as though they had always been standing there. Each wore a long cloak woven from shimmering strands of light. Their faces appeared human, until Jack tried to focus on them. Every time he looked directly at one of them, subtle details changed. Their age, their features, even their height. His mind could never settle on a single image. It was as though reality itself refused to describe them. None of them carried weapons. None wore armor. Yet Jack instinctively understood. They were far more dangerous than any army he had ever faced. The tallest figure stepped forward. "We are the Architects." Jack kept one hand near his holstered weapon. "You've been watching me for a very long time." "Why?" "Because we made a promise." Jack frowned. "To whom?" The architect answered without hesitation. "To your mother." Silence. Jack felt the air leave his lungs. His mother had died when Arcadia fell. At least, that was what he had believed all his life. "You knew my mother." The three figures exchanged a silent glance. Then the oldest among them spoke. "No. We knew Commander Elara." Jack froze. No one had spoken that name in decades. He barely remembered hearing it as a child. Only fragments remained. A gentle smile. A warm hand. A lullaby beneath unfamiliar stars. "You remember more than you realize," the architect said. Jack's voice hardened. "Stop speaking in riddles. Tell me the truth." The architect slowly raised one hand. "I will. But first, you must understand why your memories were taken." The air around them shimmered. The floating city vanished. The platform disappeared beneath Jack's feet. The world dissolved into countless particles of light. One by one, scenes from another time began forming around him. A blue sky. Golden towers. Children laughing. Arcadia. Not as ruins, but alive. Beautiful. Whole. Jack's heart pounded. This is impossible." The architect's voice echoed through the vision. "No, Jack. This dot is where your true story begins." Part 3. The day Arcadia fell, the world around Jack dissolved into light. When the brightness finally faded, he was no longer standing aboard the architect's vessel. He stood beneath a sky unlike any he had ever seen. 3 suns illuminated endless crystal oceans. Towering silver cities stretched across the horizon, connected by bridges of shimmering light. Forests of glowing trees swayed gently in the warm breeze. Children laughed as they ran through open gardens. Birds with translucent wings circled above the towers. There was no fear, no war, no suffering, only peace. Jack whispered almost to himself. "Arcadia." The tallest architect nodded. "This is not a simulation. It is a perfect reconstruction of memory. You are witnessing the final day before everything changed." Jack slowly walked forward. Every face looked alive. Every smile felt real. People greeted one another as they crossed the streets. Musicians played beside fountains of liquid light. For a moment, it was impossible to believe that this beautiful world had ever been destroyed. Then, the sky changed. One of the 3 suns suddenly dimmed. The laughter stopped. Every citizen looked upward. A child pointed toward the heavens. Something moved between the stars. At first it appeared to be a shadow. Then another. Then hundreds. Jack narrowed his eyes. "They're ships," the architect answered quietly. "No." The shadows continued growing. They did not fly. They spread, like living ink across the sky. Wherever the darkness passed, the stars disappeared. Light itself seemed to fade. Even sound became strangely distant. People began running. Emergency alarms echoed throughout the city. Thousands of Guardian fighters launched into the sky. Jack recognized the symbol on their wings, the emblem of Arcadia. One pilot flew directly through the approaching darkness. His ship vanished. There was no explosion, no debris. He simply ceased to exist. Jack stared in disbelief. What was that? The architect remained silent. The scene changed again. Inside the central command tower, dozens of Guardians surrounded a holographic map of the planet. Jack immediately recognized one of them. A woman wearing silver armor. Her long dark hair rested across one shoulder. On her neck hung the very same medallion Jack now carried. Commander Elara, his mother. She looked younger than he remembered. Stronger. Her eyes were calm despite the chaos unfolding outside. A frightened officer stepped forward. "The planetary shield has failed." Another added, "Our fleet is losing contact one ship at a time." A third whispered, "We can't fight this." Alara remained silent for several seconds. Finally she spoke, "We were never meant to." The room fell quiet. She turned toward a hidden chamber at the center of the command hall. Inside, a small boy stood waiting, no older than 6. Jack's breath caught. It was him. He remembered nothing of this moment. Until now. The child looked frightened. He clutched a small wooden star in one hand. His mother knelt before him. She smiled, not because she wasn't afraid, but because she refused to let him see her fear. She placed the Arcadian medallion around his neck. "Listen to me carefully, Jack. You must never take this off, no matter what happens." The boy nodded, tears filling his eyes. "Are you coming with me?" Alara gently touched his face. "I'll always be with you." Then she embraced him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Jack watched in silence. His hands trembled. He remembered the warmth, the scent of her armor, the sound of her heartbeat, memories he had believed were lost forever. A Guardian officer entered the room. "The evacuation ship is ready." Alara stood. She took one last look at her son. Then she whispered something so quietly that even the memory struggled to preserve it. "The heart chose you before you were born." Jack frowned. "The heart? Again. Always the heart." Before he could ask another question, the vision continued. The evacuation shuttle lifted into the sky. Young Jack looked through the rear window. He saw his mother standing on the highest tower of Arcadia. She watched until the shuttle disappeared into the clouds. She never looked away. That was the last time he ever saw her. Or so he believed. The memory froze. The architect stepped beside him. "There is one final truth you still do not know." Jack slowly turned toward him. "What truth?" The architect looked directly into his eyes. "Commander Alara never died on Arcadia." Silence. Jack's heart stopped. "What did you say?" The architect spoke softly. "She survived. And someone has been searching for her. For over 30 years. Part 4. The first prison silence. Jack couldn't move. Every thought raced through his mind. "My mother. She's alive." The architect looked at him with an expression that was neither sympathy nor pity, only understanding. "We believe she is." Jack took a step closer. "Believe? You told me she survived. We told you she survived Arcadia." The architect paused. "What happened afterward?" "Even we do not know." Jack's voice grew sharper. "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because until today, you weren't ready to hear it." Anger flashed across Jack's face. "You decided that for me." "No. The heart did." Before Jack could answer, the floating city trembled. Not violently. Almost nervously. The 3 architects looked toward the distant horizon at the exact same moment. For the first time, their calm expressions disappeared. One of them whispered, "It has begun." Jack turned. "What has begun?" No one answered. Instead, the sky itself began to crack. Thin lines of darkness spread across the brilliant blue heavens like fractures across glass. One by one, the stars beyond those cracks disappeared. Not hidden. Gone. Erased. Jack had never seen anything like it. His ship's instruments came alive. Warning after warning filled the cockpit display. Space-time instability detected. Unknown gravitational anomaly. Reality breach expanding. What is happening? The oldest architect slowly walked toward the edge of the platform. His voice was barely more than a whisper. "The first prison dot is failing." Jack frowned. "The first prison?" The architect nodded. "Long before your species existed. Long before Arcadia. Long before the first stars illuminated this galaxy. There was only silence. And within that silence, something awakened. The air became noticeably colder." The architect continued. "It did not conquer worlds. It did not build empires. It consumed existence itself. Every civilization it touched disappeared. Not destroyed. Forgotten. as though they had never existed. Jack remembered the Guardian pilots vanishing in the skies above Arcadia. No explosion. No debris. Simply erased. His blood ran cold. That's what attacked Arcadia. It wasn't attacking. The architect looked directly at him. It was searching. For what? The answer came immediately. For the heart. Silence filled the platform. Jack instinctively touched the Arcadian medallion beneath his armor. It felt warmer than ever before. The heart isn't a weapon, he whispered. No. It is a key. The words echoed through the impossible city. Jack slowly raised his eyes. A key to what? None of the architects answered. Instead, the ground beneath them began to vibrate. A deep sound echoed across the floating world. Not mechanical, not natural. It sounded like an enormous heartbeat. Once, twice, 3 times. Every tower in the city illuminated at once. Streams of blue light rushed toward the distant horizon. The architects looked genuinely alarmed. The seal is weakening. It knows where the heart is. Jack's pulse quickened. Who knows? No one spoke. Suddenly, the white sky split apart. A massive tear opened high above the city. Beyond it, there were no stars, no planets, no darkness, only an endless ocean of shifting black mist. Something moved inside it. Slowly, deliberately. Jack couldn't make out its shape. Every time he focused on it, reality itself seemed to blur. His helmet camera glitched. His visor displayed impossible symbols. Even looking at the creature caused pain. Then, 2 enormous eyes opened inside the darkness. They were larger than moons. Ancient. Emotionless. Watching. Not the city. Not the architects. Jack. A voice echoed directly inside his mind. Not spoken. Not heard. Felt. At last, every system aboard Jack's ship shut down. The Arcadian medallion burst into brilliant blue light. The architects fell to one knee. For the first time in millions of years, they bowed. Not in respect. In fear. The ancient voice returned. Stronger this time. The heart has awakened. The black tear widened. Reality screamed. And the oldest architect whispered the words Jack had feared most. We are too late. To be continued.